So, hello and welcome. I had to stop the conversation that Dave and I were having and press the go button. This is the next episode of my Do You Believe in God podcast, which has got a massive story behind it as well. Do I believe in God? Can I do this podcast? So I was nudged to invite Dave. I did, and of course, as with each of these nudges, bish bash bosh, here we are, and straight away into a full-on conversation that I think needs to be heard wider. So it was like, stop, shush, wait, press go, go.
Yeah, that was it. Thanks, Deb.
So do you want to carry on sharing what you were sharing?
Well, I think it's worth just exploring for a second, like you were saying about the nudge and the resistance that arose to that, right? So
Yep.
so I can share what happened when you sent me the message, which was over the weekend, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
When I was in the middle of a fairly
I
intense
was I
experience.
was aware that you were, and I thought, oh, definitely this message. God kind of said, send now. And I'm like, yeah, not the right moment, I don't think.
Yeah, now so we could talk about that. That might be like a really interesting distinction, the fact that we all live by this strange idea of the right moment.
Yeah.
And that when you accept that as a truth, you then are drawn into trying to figure out what
What
right
is the
moment
right
is.
moment?
I
Yes.
I know he's doing Landmark, so I wonder if like Storm City. So, but I'll just share like briefly what. And first of all, thank you for the invitation. This is so cool. Yeah, it's just awesome. So the first thing when the message appeared, I was like, oh, haven't spoken to Deb for a bit. Read the question. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Like the machine just kicked in. And then it was like, so the first thing was nah, not really. Nah, nah. And then it was like, I don't think, when I heard myself go, no, I thought, I'm not sure that's true. And then I was like, but if I say I do, then what will people think? And will they think like, and I'm already in a thing that various people are going, yeah, you're just in the cult, mate, right? Which over the years I've sort of, had around it
Maybe we
anyway.
need to count how many cults we're in between us.
Man alive, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. So it was hilarious, and then as that noise, well, it was still there. I just paid less attention to it than I might have done 2 days earlier because of the work that I was doing at the time. I was like, this could be a really interesting conversation, and I'm gonna learn a lot. And I said that to you when we were like doing a little bit of prep and just conversing yesterday, and get to explore a lot. And that speaks to one of the things we were talking about prior to, which is that you need others for this.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the big thing that I've seen specifically over the last sort of 3, 4 days in the advanced program on Landmark. I'd seen how, on the one hand, I was saying what a people person I was, and on the other hand, who I was being, right? So just like that, and people listening don't get hung on that word if you do. But who I was in my everyday life was keep away, back off, don't come near me, criticize me, I'll get you. Those are all parts of my act. And we can talk about that and how that arises, and that comes from early childhood and whatever and whatever, whatever, but not from a psychological point of view, from a way of being in the world. And when I really saw that in a good way, I was devastated. It was like nothing could be further from the truth. Like I see the only way we're going to get out of the default trajectory that we seem to be in as human beings is to open the possibility of new ways of being for human beings,
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
right?
I want to yeah, I mean that the only way. And I can see in there are so many areas of life where there is a default trajectory that we
Yeah,
are on personally, just each person. And then when you look at the world we live in at the moment, the leaders we have, the stuff going on all
yeah.
over, we are on a very scary trajectory if you're listening to some of that. And it is like, yeah, these conversations need to be had with different people, the exploration, because this isn't a one person job to change.
Oh, no, no, no. We've had a great crack at that.
Yeah.
We've had a great crack at the era of the individual. And if we look around the world today, how's it working?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to pick up on that thing you said about the scary default trajectory, because this is what hit me the other day. And I think I shared this on a post on Facebook. I was sitting in the coffee shop, and I don't tend to buy newspapers. I haven't bought one for years. But I looked across, and there was somebody reading The Guardian,
Yeah.
which is what I used to buy, or The Independent. And so they had a double page spread, and it was UK told it needs to prepare for outbreak of war in Europe in the next 3 to 4 years. Double page spread. Right? And I watched this person reading this and consuming this, and as my act does, I dismissed it, and I kind of went, "Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think really there's an appetite for that." Right? I carried on drinking my coffee. Over the course of the weekend, I was like, "Oh, hang on, hang on." Right? If I get my head out my spiritual bucket for 20 seconds, what's going on? And don't get me wrong, on one level, we could go, it's all perfect because it's what's happening. So there is a so let's deal with that. There
Yeah.
is in a sense a perfection about it. Okay, great, lovely, we've got that handled. Now, what if that is the default trajectory? I don't like that very much.
Me neither.
I don't like that for me. You put my kids in that frame. Now I really don't like it.
Mm.
Like the daddy bear thing or the mummy bear thing kicks in. Like now and so I then sort of went, so is my apathy, my fear, my not wanting to be called out, speak out, whatever, part of the default?
Mm.
So am I the warmonger?
Mm.
And that, even saying that now, that's like, oh no, 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 no,
Kind of
no,
hurts your
please.
heart, doesn't it? It
I don't,
yeah.
yeah, because I'm sitting there, and the world, the all, God, if you like, is saying potentially you're on a trajectory.
Yeah.
Now I know people can argue and go, well, it's a newspaper, and they're just there to make things inflammatory and da 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 da. Da. Okay, we can do all that.
But that makes it part of the trajectory. If we make it
Boom.
inflammatory,
Totally,
what does it do?
totally. What a
Creation.
great distraction,
Total
right?
creation. Yeah.
What a great
Mm.
distraction. So we get into the world of reason, whatever, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, man alive. My unwillingness to speak up could be, and I can't say it is, could be part of that default trajectory. Am I okay with that? No. No, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with condemning the next generations to the stupidity of Gen X, because the world's mostly run by Gen X and baby boomers, isn't
Yeah, and you kind of see
it?
what I see in when I look at my history and the things, what's happened to me over my life. I see that again, and there is a sort of an innocence in this. I see things my mum and dad missed, didn't tell me, did by default on a all of these things we're talking about. You can see the generations and the generation before them, and it's none of this is about blame, but I was
No,
actually listening to a podcast. I mean, I'm 61, and I was listening to a podcast, and these two guys were talking, and I feel like one of them's maybe in his 30s and one in his 20s, and they were kind of they were talking about like I could be their mum, and they were saying, oh, my parents didn't tell me this and my parents didn't tell me this, and we need to be doing something different now. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, actually I'm still pretty much alive, kicking. I feel like I've got years of life left in me, and I can also see I have a wealth of experience that they haven't. And I'm not saying they lack or anything, but I
no,
have
no, no.
wealth of experience. And I'm like, whoa, that was what hit me in the face in the way that you're talking about it. I was sort of like, yeah, I can see, and I'm going to say this, and I don't quite mean this, but words and all that.
Hmm.
I can see where my mum and dad failed me, and I can see where their parents failed them because of being able to look, and it's like, oh, okay, am I going to do that same default thing? Am I going to fail
Yeah.
these young lads, my children, my grandchildren? Am I going to be a part of that trajectory and fail
Yeah.
them? Or am I going to find the wisdom and courage within me to listen when I have the nudges to start a podcast like this, to
Yeah.
actually to question and to come together in community and to find out what our identity, something I call God entity, who we really are, that what our part is that we can play in that bigger picture that can actually, like you say, create a whole new default.
Oh, wow. I said I'd learn, right? That is so eloquent. Um, that I want to bring it really home, like, and I'm going to bring it home for me, and maybe other people will hear something in this. It's not that we might fail, it's that we're failing.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
are failing,
yeah,
right? And we are on the path of failure,
yes,
right? Of that, I'm as certain as one could be. And language creates, I understand. But if you look around in the world today, if you look around at what we're prioritizing, if you look around at what we're resourcing, and notice I'm saying we, I'm including this, me in this, right? It's a we. We're doing this.
yeah,
We're yeah, stuff it. We're hanging a flag, pretending that's something to do with a national pride. We're playing all sorts of games, yeah, and they're sophisticated games, and they're games that have gone on for, as you say, generations. They're the games that you and I and everyone was born into. We didn't ask for it. We literally woke up into it. Like, whoa, yeah. And things like shame and blame are all part of that game.
yes,
So if somebody hears what I just said about my opinion about flags, oh well, no, you don't. No, 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 no. Yeah, you think that. No, 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 no. That's what I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not blaming you. I'm saying that's the game we're in,
yeah,
and I've been waking up somewhat slowly, yeah, but at the speed I'm waking up to the games I'm in. That's the only place I can start. The
yes,
acts, the falsehoods, the pretenses, not as a, oh my God, I'm so special and terrible, that we're all in, that everyone is caught in. Because that's the world that you and I were born into. We woke up into that. And people can go, well, I'm not in that. That's the game too.
yeah. I can see that, but
That's the act
yeah.
too. And I've spent years, anybody who watches this and knows me will go, yeah, I've heard you do that, David, right? Sorry, but like, yeah, I'm not trying to be
Me too.
right or wrong here.
Me
I'm
too.
just going, that's the game we were born into. Part of that act and that defensiveness, that back off. You know, remember I said my act is back off. Don't touch me. And it's not my act. That's an act that belongs to the being of human being that we all share.
Mm.
We all know, like people can sit there now and go, "Oh my God, I recognize that. Back off. Keep away. Don't you tell me, Kibby. Don't you get inviting me to your latest cult bollocks. I've heard you before. Like you, separation, separation, separation. And I get it because I do the same.
We
And
all
as we start to wake up to it, like, whoa, that's a miserable way of being.
mm,
Like, that ain't fun. There's no joy in that way. There's no, so let's go out on a limb, right? There is no joy available in the world of the individual.
no, I would
None.
wholeheartedly agree. I think we are whether this I think at the moment one of the trajectories and the crisis that we are in the middle of is an identity crisis, and the identity crisis is very much about how can I be individual on my own, separate? How do I make
Totally.
a decision about who I am? And
Yeah.
what I see is that's not how it works. In the same way that we were born into this game, we are each individual aspects of the divine, and we were born that way. And it's like we don't choose that. That isn't something we make up. It's there, it's given. And to me, if we can play that, if we can find that out, who we are, it's like a jigsaw or a tapestry or something like that,
Yeah.
and we are threads in this, or a piece. And
Mm.
you really, I've shared this so many times with people, and so people have heard me before, but I was on this retreat, we were running a retreat, and a group of us at the retreat just started a jigsaw, as you do, in between times there was a jigsaw on the table and people were going by and putting pieces
Oh
in.
yeah, no, I love that.
And yeah, and it became apparent at some point that there was a piece of the jigsaw missing. And so everybody, even people who hadn't taken an interest in the jigsaw, everyone was like, where's this piece? Looking on the floor, where's this piece? Where's this piece? And it really makes me think of that. We are all pieces of this jigsaw. And this is that we need each other. And it is irrelevant which piece, if a piece is missing, it's irrelevant whether it's the corner piece, the piece out the middle, a piece. It's like, yeah, we need to know who we are and to not be, you can't be one piece of a jigsaw out here on your own. We are part of a bigger picture, and coming together is so crucial and so
I
important.
love that. I love that. What 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 I really so blimey, there was so much I heard in that. It was actually like hard to track in a sense, right? But one of the things that really struck me there was when we say we need to know who we are, we need to be sure about who we're not, right? The who we are can get, and I've sat like you in many rooms where it does get very philosophical, very esoteric, and it's fun, it's interesting. Like my bookshelf over there is full of it. Right? I like it. I like the kind of the academia and the engagement of that, right? About what this who we are is. Is it awakeness, consciousness, the formless, all God? Reasons, 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 reasons. Here's what I know we're not. And it's in our language. This is what's beautiful. And I was listening to you, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to listen to that passage back. Yeah, delete through my croaky bits, but get back to that. You said we were born into. We were born into. All of us. We were all born into this. It's a we. And like all you've kind of got to do in a sense is find a clue that unhooks something and goes, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Have I ever been on my own? Right? Have I ever actually been on my own? Don't get me wrong. I know people could hear that and say, "You, so are you saying that people aren't lonely?" No, of course I'm not saying that. We all have moments of feeling lonely, but that actually belongs in the domain of I'm on my own.
Separation.
It's yeah, it's an assumption that we all make is that it's an assumption for heaven's sake. We're assuming that we're individuals. No one's got any evidence of being an individual because there's never been anything other than everything.
Yeah, yeah. If we actually,
It's not,
and this is
it
the way.
falls so fast.
Mm,
You've never been on your own. So let's get clear about that for people who are listening or watching. What I mean by that is there could be no other. So in my house currently, there's no other human beings. The human beings in my shared dwelling, yeah, are out seeing other human beings. Now I have a human being there, but I'm still not on my own. There's photos here. There's objects. There's neighbors around. There's just always everything. And this whole lonely thing, and then trying to solve it, is an iteration of a fundamental misunderstanding, in my view, about the nature of being for a human being. It's just not true. You're not alone. You can't be, and you never are.
and the feel that when we feel that way, that feeling, when we believe that we are alone, the pain of that is the pain saying it's a lie. You're believing a lie.
Yes.
That's what's hurting. Not
That's so powerful. The
we.
pain is saying it's a lie. It's not saying it's justifying your loneliness.
No,
And I'm not negating anyone's loneliness.
absolutely not. It doesn't.
At all, right? I'm not negating anyone's experience. I want us to look together rigorously at whether what we've born into and picked up is valid. So I just want, so I went through a period, I don't know, in my mid 30s, probably, start of midlife crisis, what they call that. Yeah. Where I never felt more alone.
Mm.
I was surrounded by people. I was surrounded by a family who who loved me, who for some reason put up with me, by friends. Do you know what I mean? By
Have
communities,
on
by
that one.
this, yeah, by this, by yeah, like who doesn't relate to that, right? By this, by that, and the other. And even though there were because we're saying, oh, there's not enough people interaction. I had all the people interaction in the world, and if everybody searches their memory bank honestly and openly, they will find a time when they had people around and felt totally isolated and alone.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to be if we're going to be like firm about this, that should blow that theory right out the water. But it doesn't. We hang on to it and cling to these superstitions, basically. Oh, you need to be surrounded by people. Well, no, you've been surrounded by people and you've wanted to shut yourself off. Yeah, you wanted to take yourself out of the situation. It's all in our languaging. So it can't be that, can it? Hmm, no, I suppose it can't be that. Great. So let's go back and look again and look again
What
and look
can
again and look again.
Mm.
And in this, in this exploring that can only happen in the we, this conversation with me in my own head or me in my book is no use. It's moderately entertaining, but it only has impact in the land of we. We share this. Maybe one person watches this, hopefully more, but maybe one person watches this and goes, "Oh man alive, I'd never thought about loneliness in that way. I'd never realized that I could be lonely surrounded by people, yet I'm convinced that if I was surrounded by people, I wouldn't feel
Yeah.
lonely anymore."
Mm.
Well, that's a false god. Yeah, there's a false prophet for me. Wow. From there, and this I think has been both of our journeys and probably many of the people's journeys. From there, if that's a superstition, what other ridiculous superstitions am I relying on
Mm.
that I don't know about? What other ways of living have I picked up, having now seen that historically I was born into it? I didn't ask for it, though some people would say that you did at the level of soul and whatever. So let's acknowledge that. You chose what you were going to come into, so that's great. Belief, lovely, super, right? Having seen that that's a pretty substantial superstition that I can be lonely surrounded by people, what other ridiculous superstitions? Now, I grew up in a superstitious household, like the proper old style, my mum and my nan, right? You don't put new shoes on a table or someone dies. You don't do something with scissors. You don't cross people. I don't know whether other people like, Gen Xers and baby boomers, whatever, were born into this. You don't do this, you don't do that. Somebody came in the front door on Christmas Eve or whatever, and suddenly my nan was wailing in the front room. And I loved my nan. Like she was lived with us from the time I was 18 months old. She was like my world when I was a kid. And I'm like, Nan, what's the matter? Oh, there's gonna be a death. Hey, a man came in the front door and there was holly. There's some rule about holly. You can't put holly, right? And we look at that now and we go, that's a bit crazy, perhaps. And in some communities, maybe that's still the way it is. So as we start to wake up out of these superstitions, we start to wake up out of the idea that the I is the individual. So when we say that I and I am, that's an individual thing. When we wake up out of that superstition, it's like, hang on, I can't possibly mean that because this is shared. Hopefully people are going to listen to you and I and go, you and I, right? And go, oh yeah, me too. Oh, me too. I get that.
Yeah.
I've got that get off me thing going on, Dave. It's not just you. You're not just a psycho bucket. Yeah. I've got it going on. I push people away. Somebody offers me something that I deep down know would be beneficial. And my first response is, no, I'm not doing that. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And who the hell are you to invite me anyway? It's just a cult you're in. And we've all, if you're in the personal development, we've all heard that. And then they drag into that. Stop me anytime. I'm on a roll. They drag into that. Oh, actually, I'm in my integrity. Don't you try and challenge my integrity. That's not how I do things. I don't think that, and you get hit, and we all do that. I'm mocking myself too, right?
Yeah.
That is a shared reality. The I owns integrity. and claims it for itself and then batters people around the head with it. Back off. Don't you invite me to your event. I've got a great event, like the events you guys run in Devon, right? Where I can throw open a
Amazing
door.
conference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh God, yeah, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can throw open the door on a new possibility for you in mental health. How dare you invite me to that? How dare you? How much is it? I bet it's expensive because you're just out to make money, right? You've heard it all, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll stop now. I'll pause.
The hilarious thing, like on that, just an aside, we've heard people say, "Oh my gosh, why don't you charge more for this? It's ridiculously cheap." And then we've
Yeah.
had both private messages and things on Facebook exactly that saying you're just out to exploit people with the amount that you charge for your event. So you
Yeah, yeah.
kind of see another on all across all of it how the craziness of it, and
It should be free. You should be doing it for free. If you see, Deb, if you guys really cared, you'd give it all away. If you really cared. So you can feel the loadedness of that. And if someone sounds like I'm criticizing other people, like change your listening. I'm illuminating how we all live, our default future. That's how we live. We live in diminishment of self because what we're calling self, the I, the individual, is a fractal. You said it's a piece. Now, I'm throwing open the possibility today that that's actually just a superstition. That's not even true. And give me 5 minutes with anyone who's willing, I'll show you it ain't true. Yeah. So we're never going to fix something that isn't true. You can't color in a rainbow. It's beautiful to observe. You can't touch it up with Dulux. Other paints are available, right? You can't do that. Beautiful to observe. The sense of being an individual, beautiful to observe. Don't mistake it for who you are at the level of the I being the individual, because you've no evidence for it. And if you're relying on feelings, we could handle that pretty quickly as well. If you're relying on thoughts, we can handle that pretty quickly because we've all felt some way about something and then realized that how we felt wasn't valid.
yeah,
So feelings don't look like a good test. We've all thought something was true and discovered that that wasn't valid. So thinking doesn't turn out to be a very good test. And we could work through all of these tests, yeah, and get them out, get this superstitious stuff out of our systems, such that we can kind of like sober up and like so. Oh, cool. Well, what have we got? Well,
mm,
what we've got is the world of physical reality. This ability to do things, and what we're doing currently is investing in killing people. Let's put more billions in because well, you've got to because they might kill you, you know. And that's the reality we wake up into every day. We wake up into a reality where it's accepted as the norm that you kill through difference of opinion. We accept that. I accept that. I'm going to bring it right home for myself. Yeah. I accept that that's okay because I live that that's okay because frankly, I'm apathetic about it.
that's kind of, I mean, just stop there for a minute. That's kind of scary because as a collective, we live with that.
Totally, totally,
And even,
totally,
yeah,
totally. And I want people, I love that you said that because when you said that, I've just gone goosebumps. You brought it home, right? Mine's the ranty plane. You landed it in a grounded way. As a collective, we all live that the murder of another person is acceptable.
mm,
And if someone bounces off that and goes, well, you two, I don't, there's the machine.
yeah,
There it is in action.
yeah. And that's what keeps it in place, the
Yes.
denial that that is what
Yes.
we do. And again, that is the protection of me. It's like, no,
Totally.
I'm different. I don't do that. That's not how I live. That's not how. And this, when I was saying earlier about the lived experience of things and seeing things, it's like seeing the patterns of the cycles of what we do. You know, I've been through enough of those cycles and those patterns to recognize them and see them and get to a space of like, I need to be questioning those cycles, those patterns, what it looks like, who's the victim, who's the perpetrator, all of these. And you can absolutely, no matter, that is one of a crazy, crazy, crazy illusion too. Who's the victim and who's the perpetrator? And one of the games that we really like to play in our societies is either, you know, this. uh,
Yeah.
let's support the victim. Let's kill the perpetrator. In however far we allow that to go down the line. And it's like, do you know what? They're just opposite sides of the same coin. We can't. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
No, and what you just said there, that's pivotal, right? Because I can imagine in some people's minds now is okay, so what else then? I hear you. I've got some of the hang, and maybe people disagree, and maybe they don't agree, and whatever. We're going to have every spectrum of opinion and perceiving and how things occur for someone, right? So what else? And I think that was when you sent me the message, I was like, oh, this is cool. We're gonna be able to get to the point where we can have or open the door to the what else.
What else?
Because what I've seen, and I'm not saying I'm right, yeah, but what I've seen that's enough for me to see, and I hadn't seen it as clearly as I did this weekend, is that the I is bankrupt. There just is no possibility in that domain. So we need a new domain. And the new domain is the we, right?
Yeah.
If you're not winning, if the world isn't working for you, I failed because I is now we. If there's somebody homeless who doesn't want to be, and I respect that some people don't want fixed dwelling or whatever, and doing some charity work was a bit of a stark awakening for me because I went in with my like middle class savior bollocks, okay, and then talk to people like, wow, you just don't want to live that way. So if there's someone homeless who doesn't want to be in that situation or feels that they're not able to have something else, I'm homeless
Yeah.
because I'm we.
Yes. Yeah. And in that scenario, when I'm talking about victims and perpetrators, whilst we have got victims and perpetrators, I am a victim and I am a perpetrator.
Correct.
And
Correct.
until I am prepared to not be a victim and not be a perpetrator
Correct.
within
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
investigate that within
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
then victim and perpetrator will continue to exist. And like
So
you
there's
say, I am not doing my job if I'm not prepared to question that, to look at that. If I just close that door and say, no, I'm not a bully, I'm not a perpetrator, and I'm done being a victim, so I'm not a victim anymore. And it's like,
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think some people would call that spiritual bypass, wouldn't they? Right. So there's a big move at the moment on could I just like I'm really into the fitness stuff as you probably know at the moment, and so like my fitness world is Instagram. So there's a big movement at the moment for women running in groups together because it's now dark in the evenings. Okay, as a way of staying safe, right? So I am the threat to women. Whilst that threat exists, and the threat is a threat of men, yeah, I'm that. And that's not comfortable.
No. And I guess the you've either got to be, the conversation we were having before we came on here was, we need to be in that discomfort and look at what that discomfort is.
Totally.
Otherwise, that discomfort is, if we paper over it, which is what we have been. This is the whole, my
Totally.
parents failed me, my grandparents failed me, I'm about to fail. That's the papering over that discomfort and saying, no, that's another man, that's another,
Totally. Yeah.
that's a something
Yeah.
else out here.
Yeah. That's like that's not me. I've got my act together and I hope
Yeah,
to share with my boys appropriately, whatever. No, 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 no.
yeah. I'm not part of
In
that
we,
problem. Yeah,
in we,
we have to own.
that's my issue. Now, if every guy took that, right? If every guy took that, because one of the things that I think is sensible and practical, and in a way upsetting, is women are having to group together when the threat is men, right? So where's the responsibility? Now it's fantastic what people are doing, and I know people who lead these groups and whatever. It's awesome, right? But where does the responsibility lie? So that there are guys who knows who might see this, whatever, who know someone, right? Who needs to see this, right? We need to see this wheat, and it isn't comfortable. And we'll get examples where, maybe individually we haven't behaved as we should, and all sorts of stuff can arise. And we've got to be able to be with that, not sweep it under the carpet, because the game has moved and the game needs to move. And each of us need to move within that game to stopping this ridiculous idea that this silly superstition that we're an individual.
Mm.
It's a superstition. No human being has any evidence for being separate. None. So let's not try and solve it, right? Let's root it out for the nonsense it is. And now let's start again together as the collective, which is what we are already. It's not that we're not that.
No, it's not that you.
That's all there is.
Yeah, yeah. I see. For me, this has really become more and more apparent. Potentially, I would probably use different words because that's where I've come to it.
Sure.
But what where I am seeing what I'm hearing in what you say. So I started something pretty much at the beginning of this year called the love experiment for myself personally, inside myself, like kind of asking the question, well, what would love do here? And the idea of living from love, not fear. And what that really showed me was everything is either rooted in love or fear. And in
Yeah.
what you're saying, I'm kind of everything is rooted in a we or an I. And I is fear, we is love. And the cycles again, my thing I'm really seeing is the cycles. And there is a cycle, when we are in fear, we are in separation, we are in perfection mode. I can't do anything unless it's perfect. I expect perfection from other people. You cannot make a mistake. I can't get it wrong. um, there's a cycle there, and that is always like that is conflict. That whole
Totally.
thing is
Totally.
conflict. And yet
Totally.
when you see love brings connection, we're connected. When we're in that, we're connected, and it's okay to make a mistake. We can learn by our mistakes. We can look at them. We can do something. We can
Oh, completely. Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah.
We're okay with the fact that life is a mystery. There is things about this we will just simply
Completely.
never
Yeah.
tell,
Yeah.
and we'll never
Yeah.
know. That's perfectly okay. And all of that culminates in connection, in peace. The result of that living in love is peace. The result of living in fear is conflict. And
Yeah.
in words that you're it's the I and the we.
Totally.
Yeah, and I don't think there is, because that is what is already. We have to move towards this if we are going to change the trajectory, if we are going to change
Yeah.
the inevitable course that the human
Yeah.
race appears to be on at the moment.
Yeah.
We have to be we.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to be what I loved what you said there. We have to be what we already are, which means to me, and this is just to me, yeah, different people explain it and hear it and fit it differently. It's not so much finding about who you truly are, it's about seeing the bullshit that you're not.
Yeah, so the
But who you already are is there. Like it's
yeah,
it's in plain day
and
when you see it.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
So the way that those words come through me, what I've seen around that is we are born into whatever this is, perfect, and we create ourselves a lie identity
Yeah.
because of what we're born into, what we're told, what we see, what we believe. We create a lie identity. And
Yeah.
then often through self-help and stuff like that, we move into what I call a my identity, where it's like, oh, okay, I see that isn't working. So who do me,
Yeah. Who do
I
I need
think
to
it's
be?
I think, yeah, and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, but actually, and obviously very fitting for this podcast, what I see is we have a God entity, an identity that we always were, that was always there, that and if we step into our God entity, we become we. When the lie, so the lie entity, that's the
Oh, I
word.
like that. I've never heard that before. I like that. Identity. Wow. Is that yours?
Yeah,
I've
I'm
never heard that before.
I'm gonna write a book on this.
Bloody hell.
In the podcast I did before this, and if you haven't seen that podcast, do with the lovely Alok Apajuri, probably haven't said his
Oh,
name right.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know him, but I know of him. I've heard him talk. Yeah.
yeah, well, I the podcast before this one did with him, and
Wow.
I mentioned that, and he literally just said, "You have got to write the book. You have got
Yeah,
to
yeah,
write the
yeah,
book.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
to." That's a movement right there. And for me, I
Well, of everything we've shared today,
yeah,
and everything I've learned with you, that word, that's it. In a nutshell, that is it. It's a lie identity. That's not who you are. So,
no,
and here's what I'd really offer on this, right? I'm not talking esoterically, philosophically, not even really talking psychologically either. It doesn't take much to see that you're not. So let's stop trying to solve it.
yeah, this is the thing we get caught. We create the identity, and then we're trying to make the identity work. We're trying to solve the
Yeah,
problem so that the identity can work,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it doesn't.
Let's try and make it better. Well,
Yeah,
you can't make something that
it
isn't true
doesn't.
better.
It doesn't.
What came to my mind is like just occasionally I was thinking about vacuuming the kitchen floor. I don't know.
As you do.
But you know, on our kitchen floor, you sort of look at it and you vacuum it and you think, oh, I missed a bit. And I go over with my nozzle, you know, excitedly, you know, do man sweeping, and it's like, oh no, actually that's just part of the pattern.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. So there's no point in going to a sweepology course or doing sweepfulness or a sweeping mantra or journaling about my sweeping to try and get up the bit that is already part of the pattern.
Mm,
It just isn't. It doesn't matter how adept I get at that. That can't solve something that already isn't an issue.
yeah.
It's impossible. So to me, we've really got this chance to stop spinning our wheels
Yeah.
of trying to improve I love that. Oh my life. The lie identity because it's bankrupt.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there for us. We know that historically. We don't need to look very far. We just look around our world today.
Mm.
Run by, world run by lie identities.
Yeah. Completely and utterly. And we see it filtering
And more bizarre identities
more
from
and
all different elements of completely strange.
and that is filtering through so much when we see our young people now. There is a massive crisis within identity because we have just, and it is like, yeah, we need to we need to stop trying to solve the problem there, because like you
Totally,
say, the
totally.
sweeping, it's like
Yeah, totally.
that's not where it is. We need to completely get out of that. We're in a massive place where we are trying to make that work and solve those problems, and it's just,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
oh,
Wow.
what was the guy's name? I can't remember his name. It will come 10 minutes after the podcast is finished. The guy, he did a load of stuff with bees. Can't remember his name. But anyway, and I think it was him that said this. We need to create something instead of trying to make this better. We need to create something completely different and better that just blows
Yeah,
that out of the water. And
yeah,
that's what it's pointless faffing around in what we're doing. And to me, that's what this podcast is about. It's like, yeah, if we are actually going to not let our children down, then we need to be having this
yeah.
conversation.
Totally, totally. And to come back to the theme, maybe to close and like lie identity is like that to me is the close of our conversation today and probably the opening of many more like beyond this. But once we're open to this and we're open to being honest about the fact that we're contributing to that which doesn't work, because somebody could hear this and go, well, that's quite depressing. What do I do now? Because that's what the I says.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the answer I would give is like, reach out to Deb, reach out to myself, reach out to Deb's other guests, listen and start to allow the we in conversation. If you're sitting in your room thinking, right? That's dead. Sorry, that's part of the identity. I'll work this out for myself. No, you won't. I've spent years spinning my wheels doing that. You won't. That's why coaching exists. If people could figure it out on their own, there'd be no room for people like me on the planet,
Yeah.
right? It shifts in conversation,
Yeah.
in the
In
we.
community, in community.
Yeah.
100%, 100%. So yeah, reach out to me, to Dave, to if you're watching other ones, reach out to the guests because that's what this is about. If somebody resonates with you, reach out, ask for a conversation because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure everybody who is a guest on this podcast, me, everybody who is speaking here is open to that conversation, to that being reached out to. So
Amazing.
thank you
Thank you
for
so
a
much.
beautiful
Deb,
conversation.
I just want to really acknowledge and say thank you for this. Thank you for the nudge. There were lots of reasons that could have come up that would have stopped you messaging me. I'm going to acknowledge myself for not ignoring you at the weekend when I could have done because it was reasonably intense, 13 hours a day. Yeah, but there was something in it that I really felt, and I'm really, really grateful for you just stepping through all that nonsense and us being able to have this space.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering my message so promptly.